In this video, I'm going to explain a high win rate trading system with rigid rules that pretty much anyone can follow. I'll also test it 100 trades in a row so you guys can see the result of those 100 back-tested trades. But first, let's talk about the indicators and the exact strategy that's going to be used here for anyone that is interested in having a simple and rigid system to follow that will keep you profitable in the long run as long as you stick to the rules. So let's talk about this and cover the indicators, the exact stop loss placement, take profit target, and how exactly this is going to be tested. First, let's cover the three indicators that we use for this trading system, starting with the ATR stop loss indicator. This one I have default settings at 14 RMA, 1.5 high and low. I've simply changed the style a little bit, but that doesn't make a difference. Now in the public library, you can simply search for the ATR stop loss finder by verified. Next indicator is going to be the CM slingshot system, where I've gotten rid of most of the style but kept the actual cloud itself for trend direction and also a pullback zone, which we'll talk about how that plays into the strategy in just a second. This one, if you type in CM slingshot system by Chris Moody in the public library, that's the one I'm using, has a ton of likes. And then finally, the stochastic RSI, where I've gotten rid of the stochastic D line and the middle band because I'm only going to be using the stochastic K line, the upper band, and the lower band. The default settings are as follows: 3, 3, 14, 14, and close, which is a TradingView default. If you don't know already, the stochastic RSI is right here in the TradingView public library. All right, now let's talk about the exact entry criteria, stop loss placement, and take profit target method. So let's talk about the exact trading system, the exact rules, stop loss placement, take profit target, everything, starting with the entry criteria for a short position. So for a short position, we do need to see a red cloud on the CM slingshot system, opposed to for a long position, you need to have a green cloud. Now, the next thing we'll be looking for is a stochastic RSI full reset. And what that means is for a short, we're looking for the stochastic K to go from overbought into oversold and then back into overbought. At the same time, price makes a lower high compared to that last reset when stochastic K was last in the overbought territory. So we take a look over here. Last time we had overbought, stochastic K was all the way up here. We see this on stochastic K come into the oversold territory, back into the overbought territory right here on this candle. Clearly, we have a lower high compared to that last reset on stochastic K. So what we can do is start looking for a short position, but we can't quite enter yet. The next piece of criteria here is you need to see a pullback into the red cloud for a short position, and that, after all the other criteria is met, will be the actual entry candle. So our first candle that actually wicks through the cloud is this one right here, and this will be our entry candle. It can close in the cloud, it can close on the cloud, but it can also wick through the cloud as long as it touches the cloud in some way and all the other criteria is met. That will be an entry candle. The stop loss will be placed to the stop loss indicator, and then using a 1 to 1.2 risk to reward ratio for the profit target, that is going to be the setup that I'm testing. So let's get into the next one. So next, we're going to be looking for another pullback and full reset on the stochastic K. So price pushes down, we see this stochastic K comes oversold, then back into the overbought territory here. Now, we do have the full reset while price makes a lower high, but we don't have a pullback into the cloud yet, so we need to keep waiting. We actually see another full reset, so comes all the way back down into the oversold and then all the way back up into the overbought territory over here. This time we do get a pullback into the cloud, and what we need to make sure of is that the last time that we saw stochastic K in the overbought territory, which is right here, the price is making a lower high this time. And we have the high of this last time, then we have this current one where prices pulled back into the cloud, which is creating a lower high at this time. So that's going to be a valid entry with the full reset on stochastic K here into the overbought territory. And the pullback into the cloud on this red candle, that is the entry candle where it wicks through the cloud. Stop loss to the stop loss indicator, and then using a 1 to 1.2 risk to reward ratio here. So that is going to be where the profit target is then hit on this candle. Now we can start looking for the next reset on Stochastic K to look for our next entry. Still a red cloud, so let's look for that next reset. So this pushes back down into the oversold territory, back up into the overbought, and do we have a lower high on price? Do we have a pullback into the cloud? The answer is yes, we do. So this green candle right here is our entry candle, seeing as it's still making a lower high compared to this previous pullback where we had our last reset into the overbought on Stochastic K. So we can take a look, this high right here versus this pullback here, clearly making a lower high since the last time we got this in the overbought territory. So it's a valid entry. Let's take that and place our stop loss to the stop loss indicator and target 1.2 times the risk, where this one does hit the profit target. Now that one is concluded. Let's move on to the next setup. So we're waiting again for another reset. So last example here for shorts, pushes down on the price, and then we see this full reset. Oversold on Stochastic K, back to overbought over here, where on this red candle, it's already into the overbought territory. So we're waiting now for the pullback into the cloud, which happens on this green candle. So this is going to be our entry candle. Again, making sure that we have a lower high compared to that last overbought Stochastic K reset, which was up here. So clearly a lower high here on this pullback. So we have a valid entry with the red cloud still, stop loss to the stop loss indicator, and then using 1 to 1.2 for that profit target. So that's going to be for a short position. Now let's cover some long entries. All right, let's go through a few long entries and cover the rules so it all makes sense before getting into the 100 back test. So for a long position, it's going to be the exact opposite rules as a short position. So we do need to have a green cloud in order to take a long position. And then we're going to be looking for resets on the Stochastic K line that essentially go into the oversold territory instead of the overbought territory to look for an entry. So what we're looking at is over here, our last oversold Stochastic K, then we're going to be looking for this to fully reset. So overbought, back to oversold, and then we need to see price making a higher low at the time of our entry. So we get back into the oversold territory way up here, but we haven't pulled back into the cloud yet. So our first candle that enters the cloud is over here. And do we still have a higher low compared to the last time that Stochastic K was in the oversold territory? Well, yes, we do. This was that previous low, and clearly it's making a higher low at this time. So we have a valid entry with the pullback into the cloud there. And so we can place our entry, our stop loss, and then target our 1.2 times risk profit target, which is eventually hit over here. Now we can move on that one is closed out to our next opportunity. So once again, looking for this to have a full reset. So coming from oversold to overbought, and then staying up there for quite a while, but eventually resetting back into the oversold territory over here. First happening on this red candle, which also wicks through the cloud. So we have those criteria being met. And we last need to see that price is making a higher low compared to the last time Stochastic RSI was in the oversold, which was over here. So clearly we have a higher low compared to then over on this pullback. So valid entry for this candle right here. Stop loss, we place the stop loss indicator, and then we target 1.2 times the risk for the profit target where it's hit right here. Now we can look for our next opportunity. So we're waiting again for another full reset on Stochastic K, where we see it come from oversold to overbought and then back to oversold right here. So the candle right here is oversold on Stochastic K with the full reset. And do we have a higher low on this one compared to this previous one? Well, yes, we do. So this is going to be a valid entry. We already had the pullback into the slingshot cloud, so we can take an entry on the close of this candle when all the criteria is met. And stop loss to the stop loss indicator using a 1 to 1.2 risk to reward ratio, where the profit target will be hit over here. All right, so that's going to cover it for the strategy itself. Pretty simple, just looking for these Stochastic K resets, and with the trend direction, getting in at a discounted price by looking for pullbacks to the cloud, and It's as simple as it gets, really. And this one, you can try out different methods of placing the stop loss, different take profit targets and risk to reward ratios. You can move the stop loss to break even at a certain point if you want to, take partial profits, whatever you want to kind of try out to improve the strategy. But this one performed really well with these basic rules that I've presented here. So let's get into the 100 back tests and then talk about the results at the end. All right, results are in after the 100 back tested trades, so let's cover it. This was tested on euro against the US dollar on a 1 hour time frame using a 1 to 1.2 risk to reward ratio, and it took 9 months of price data to find the 100 back tested trade signals, which is pretty standard for a 1 hour time frame strategy. Now, out of those, there were 63 winning trades and 37 losing trades, giving it a 63% win rate, which is very good using a 1 to 1.2 risk to reward ratio. The most wins in a row, 7, and the most losses in a row, 5. The final gain on the account, 38.6%, assuming a risk of 1% per trade and also not compounding. So this one did really well, falling in that kind of upper to mid-tier range, and using a 1 to 1.2 risk to reward ratio has a very impressive gain on the account figure, seeing as most of the tests that are done with such a low risk to reward, they don't really fall very highly on the strategy ranking spreadsheet with the gain on the account figure. Most of the top performers are using a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio. So this one doing really well on that gain on the account figure for a 1 to 1.2 risk to reward ratio. I'm assuming if you brought that up to a 1 to 2 or 1 to 1.5 even, that we'd see a larger gain on the account figure. Although, that win rate would drop a bit. That's to be expected. The higher you go on that risk to reward, you're going to see a worse win rate, but often a higher gain on the account overall. So let's put it on the strategy ranking spreadsheet and see how it stacks up. All right, here it is on the strategy ranking spreadsheet, falling at spot number 30 out of 95 strategies tested on the channel so far. So this one falling in that upper range, definitely performing very well, and especially impressive considering that it uses a 1 to 1.2 risk to reward ratio, while most of the top contenders use a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio. So a much higher risk to reward ratio, giving a much higher gain on the accounts, is the typical thing that I see when testing strategies. So perhaps we test this one using a 1 to 2. We may see it bump up into the higher rankings, but already performing very well and quite a high win rate for a 1 to 1.2 risk to reward ratio strategy. If we look at some of the ones where we test it with a 1 to 1 risk to reward ratio, we got a 63% win rate on this one, only 26% again on the account. A couple more here, so 1 to 1, 1 to 1, 24% again on the account, 24% again on the account. So these lower risk to reward ratios, here's another 1 to 1, 18% again on the account. They just don't get such a high gain on the account figure using those low risk to reward ratios typically. So this one actually did very impressively well and definitely very promising, definitely worth looking into. And yeah, I definitely like this strategy. Well, it would be worth testing it again, so I think I'll have a follow-up video on this one with a different risk to reward ratio to see how it performs. But anyway, that will conclude it for this one, and don't forget to like the video, comment down below for the YouTube algorithm, check out my links in the description for Patreon page, along with Bybit, my exchange of choice for cryptocurrency, and Capitalize.ai for automated trading and creating your own systems and strategies and then automating them. So that's it for this video. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for watching.